All right, so I'm going to take a departure from what I normally talk about, what I normally review, and instead do sort of a unique impression of a unique experience that I just had. So, my number finally came up in the Casa Bonita lottery, and if you're from Denver, you may have a good shot at knowing what that means. If you grew up in Denver and you're roughly my age or thereabouts, if you grew up in the 80s or 90s, or maybe even the 2000s, you probably went to Casa Bonita approximately 478 times for your friends' birthday parties or just on your own. And you're probably very familiar with the unique experience that is Casa Bonita. If you're not from Denver, you may in fact also be somewhat peripherally familiar with Casa Bonita from South Park and from the episode where Cartman wants to go to Casa Bonita. This is, of course, because the South Park creators are from this area and have that aforementioned love of the establishment. Now, along comes COVID, and Casa Bonita, which is basically a replica Mexican village, a chaotic village, inside a sort of a restaurant and a strip mall. It's enormous. It's surprisingly enormous. Seats something like 1,000 people. Historically, the food is nothing to shake a stick at, but it's that spectacle, that experience that we all remember. There are cliff divers, there are gunfights, there's a treasure trove, and there's a Black Bart's cave, and all these other things that we all know and love. There's a gorilla for some reason, but I digress. Along comes COVID, and that's not exactly the sort of thing that you can DoorDash to yourself. And so, Casa Bonita, sadly, looks like it's about to go under. Then along come the South Park guys, and they rescue it. They buy it. There's a story in there somewhere. They buy it and they kind of reimagine and reopen it. They address certain things, notably the food is rumored to be much better now, but also the mechanism whereby you would get into Casa Bonita sort of at least temporarily changes while they sort of soft open, get their arms around the thing. And so, whereas in the past you would go join a line of approximately 800 people down the block waiting to get in, and then you'd be seated and you'd spend a long time there eating sopapillas and enchiladas and running around and getting into some kind of, childhood coma of pure ecstasy. Now there is a wait list of, last I heard, 600,000 people. I have been on that wait list for 2 years since it first, opened up, or shortly thereafter, waiting for my turn. And it's not sequential; it's a lottery. But this past week or this past month, my number came up, and when that happens, you have a limited window of time, a few weeks. I think it's about 6 weeks' time to book a reservation with up to 10 people. At a sort of a specific time and date, you will show up and be exclusively let in with obviously several hundred other people at the same time to experience the new Casa Bonita. And so when my number came up, this keeping in mind that I'm a person who once made a terrible feature-length film that included a major role for the affection that these characters had for Casa Bonita, and you can probably predict that what I did was I booked myself a flight and brought my daughter and got a bunch of friends together and went. And I'm going to tell you now, with that prelude out of the way, I'm going to give you my sort of unvarnished, quick review of the new Casa Bonita experience for someone who has great affection for the institution itself, for the establishment itself, and is admittedly quite biased for this to be great and everything I hoped. So what I'm going to say is, first off, positive, definitely on the right track. I was amazed to learn that they actually had to strip the entire restaurant down to the studs for code OSHA, for sort of regulatory reasons, and rebuild it sort of brick by brick, as it were. They've done a phenomenal job of preserving what we all recognize as integral to Casa Bonita itself. All the things you most treasure are just as you remember them. As somebody who's leading us to a table said, it's just like you remember it, only better. And I think that for the most part is an apt description. The food is a tremendous improvement. It's a good meal. It's not the best Mexican food in Denver, but it is has nothing to be ashamed of. So there's something like 8 entree choices. I tried a little bit of 3 of them. All were good. There was a sort of a kind of a beef barbacoa kind of thing that I had that was great. There was a chicken mole, a taco salad with carnitas. All of these were good. The salsa, the chips and salsa, the salsa was very good. The sopapillas, they've scaled back a little bit. Every meal comes with 1 sopapilla, and then they're like $1 for a basket of 4 after that. The sopapillas are still wonderful. There's additional desserts and more drinks. I don't drink, so I can't tell you what the drinks were like, although I will say the horchata was very nice. A little coconutty, extra cinnamony. I like both those things, so that was great. I will say that these were the things that I thought had a little bit of an opportunity, or I'm going to launch into a couple things that come to mind. And maybe I'll give a few more positives. So, staff, very appreciative. The flag is still an integral part of the experience. You put up the flag when you need something. Flag at your table, you put that up when you need something, and that's how, in such a large restaurant, the waitstaff knows to give you a little attention, and that's a great idea and works like a charm. The seating area, it's all cleaned up, all fabulous and new and shiny. There was great music, right central, located in a central location. That was good. There were actually 2. There was sort of a balcony solo serenade artist that was good, and there was a mariachi band, kind of right in the heart of things. That was very good. So that was a good experience. They still have the cliff divers, a lot less chaos, probably a lot less danger, probably a lot less liability, but kind of missed a little bit of the chaos. Overall, that was one thing I kind of noticed that I did kind of miss. As a kid, like I mentioned, there were gunfights, there were guerrillas, there were these crazy antics going on sort of the stage, as it were, which is like located over, near the waterfall over the lagoon, where inevitably somebody is falling in. While there were still cliff divers, that was a very organized, serene, almost serene, just strictly cliff diving experience, as opposed to cliff diving theater that we used to be accustomed to. So I missed a little bit of the chaos, and I'd like to see them bring a little more of that back, a little more of the, gunfights on the half hour kind of thing. That was an opportunity, I think, for it to be a little bit better. I felt similarly, the puppet show really was a missed opportunity for, these incredibly funny, always on the nose writers with, their own kind of quality control over this long running, South Park franchise. The puppet show was okay, but a little bit, frankly, a little tame, a little tepid. It was a puppet show. I don't want to give away too much what it was about. It's kind of about the new food versus the old food, and the old food now sort of getting jobs as puppets. There was one joke that made me laugh out loud in the entire puppet show, but Whereas the old puppet show was not incredible, it was at least, you know, it was more imaginative. More, I can imagine that if I were a kid watching the puppet show, I wouldn't have really been engaged with it. It was kind of jokes for adults, and not like, I don't mean like wink wink jokes for adults, but like jokes that really only adults, nostalgic adults there to see if the food is better, would sort of latch on to. So I think that was a missed opportunity as well. The magic show, I really like the new Sorsorio, I forget how persona of the new magician, but I wanted just maybe 25% more magic and correspondingly like 25% less sort of strange kind of toy-based nostalgia. That was kind of a swing and a miss for me. Those are small things. I appreciated that there were some kind of Easter eggs, South Park Easter eggs around. That's a nice, like to see that. I'm a little bit melancholy that they closed off the incredibly humid dining area that was sort of at lagoon level in a sort of hidden cave. But I completely understand why that was done, as referenced in my aforementioned terrible film. So overall, I'm really glad that I went, and most of the people most people I went with had been there before, and we all kind of felt similarly that this is on the right track, and we're really glad to see it rescued in this way. In talking with some of the people who went as kids later, I think we all were kind of the same mind that the same things could be improved just a little bit. The puppet show could be improved a little bit. The overall level of chaos could be a little more fun and zany. And the magic show could have a little more magic. And again, that's also thinking as a parent who I took my girls to Casa Bonita when they were very small. And just thinking about the kind of things that little kids like, more magic, more sort of kid-focused puppet. That's really who the puppet show should be for. But other than that, it's great. And the chaos is fun. So those three things would, I think, make it a little more kid-friendly. Amazing kid experience the way it was when I was growing up, and kind of keep, pass the torch and keep it burning bright. So I do recommend it. Get yourself on that wait list, and if your number comes up, definitely go. It's worth checking out. All right, till next time, I don't anticipate any other restaurant reviews on this channel.